everyone, welcome back. Today I want to speak about something that is rarely talked about in like a real and raw way. And that is that everyone wants the outcome, but not many are willing to go through the process. That your calling requires you to get out of your comfort zone, but more so that consistency is the only answer. Consistency will take you further than any talent out there. If you're new here, hello, my name is Brandi Rains. I'm so glad that you stumbled across my podcast. I am a mom of two incredible babies. I call them babies. They're literally 9 and 10 years old. I don't know when that happened. My husband, Casey, is my absolute best friend, and we have built an incredible life. We live in Georgia. In the last 10 years, I've been building a lot of different businesses in the social media space. I have a beauty business where I do makeup tutorials. I've done makeup tutorials almost every single day for like a decade, which is crazy. I started those when I was pregnant with my son and my daughter was 1, if that tells you how long I've been doing it. I own a supplement company. I am very passionate about helping people feel their most confident self from the inside out. And I created a very clean, reputable supplement company that I'm so proud of. It's called Exalted. And actually next week, we're just rolling into July and it is hot here in Georgia. Oh my word. I am doing my hard launch for Lira, my hair company. And yes, Lira is biblical. It's derived from a Hebrew name, Lira, spelled with Leo. And it means God's light or God's light within. And that's the most important thing. And I think on this episode, I want to speak to someone, whoever it is that's here listening. I want to speak to the person that is struggling to figure out how to keep going. Because I know you're distracted, you're comparing yourself. You do not feel like you can complete or finish what God has called you to. And I know for a fact that this is like 50% of the people listening. And the other 50%, this is just going to be a nod. This is just going to be a confirmation. This is just going to be maybe a sign that God sent to you. I don't know why you clicked on this podcast and are listening to it right now in this moment during this season, but it's going to be a reminder to you that what you're doing matters. And not a lot of people say that to you in the process. In fact, I started building businesses in 2017. Casey and I had what we used to call the Raisin Box. It was this tiny little apartment in Pensacola, Florida. I loved it so much. In fact, I miss it. I miss those simple times. And I remember having to make really like the first big choice in my online business, and it was to quit my job. At the time, I was pregnant. We were about to give birth to our second child. My husband was a non-rate in the military. A non-rate literally is somebody who hasn't done any training yet. So they don't have like, no. Sorry, you're gonna have to fast forward this. A non-rate is literally somebody who doesn't have like their schooling yet and their certifications. He was in the Coast Guard. So you make like the least amount of money as a non-rate and you do like a lot of work. So it was very stressful on us. My husband was on base a lot. He was gone 50% of the year. So he worked like a firefighter schedule, 2 on, 2 off sliding weekends. So I really was like running the home front, there for our daughter, Riley. Also trying not to puke every 20 seconds because I was pregnant. And I worked a full-time job for a real estate company. I started doing the videos. They, kind of, I say took off. I was making at least half of what I was making at my job, which I was like, wow, if I'm doing this with like very part-time hours put in, I could probably make, a lot if I did this full time. And there was nobody anywhere, not even my husband, that was willing to say, do it, quit your job. There was not a single person that was willing to take that burden. There was not a single person that was willing to go, yep, make that decision, girl, quit that job and tell me, look me in the eyes and tell me it's all going to be okay. And I'm going to be really gutsy here. I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you, do it. Whatever it is that you're looking at right now that big, bold, scary decision that you feel like God is calling you to, but like you're really scared, you're really nervous, it's a big risk, you can literally die tomorrow. You could genuinely leave this earth tomorrow. If he called you to it, he will help you through it. Do it. I'm going to be the one to say it because I'll tell you what, there aren't many people in the world that will because they don't want to be responsible for when you fail. And so that was that like crossroads that I was at in 2017 when I'm thinking, I could really do this and I could be with my kids more. And the days that my husband was off of work, I could be with him all day because the reality is like when he would be home, I was at work and he would be with the kids, but we were kind of ships in the night. We saw each other a couple nights a week and every other weekend. It was like we had divorced parents and we had like shared custody, like the military and I on my husband. It was just crazy. I think back to that time and I realized that it was just a leap of faith. It was just a God-given, a little bit knee-jerk reaction, but a God-given leap of faith, like where he was just like, jump, I've got you. And there are several moments in my life and little pivotal times that I remember making or taking a big risk that had a big payoff. But the opposite side of that is there's a lot of risks I've taken in my business. There's a lot of financial risks Casey and I have taken that didn't necessarily pay off well. We have hired people, agencies, marketing companies, and it not pay off, and we waste tens of thousands of dollars. There have been several decisions that we have made as business owners, as parents, as a married couple, that we had to pay for, whether it be physically, emotionally, or mentally, like a lot. And whatever you're facing right now, that feels like you need validation. I mean, that's really what it is. It's that you aren't fully confident in yourself being able to execute and complete it. So you need validation. I'll give you that if you need that. I'll validate it for you. I'll tell you, you got this, girl. But the reality is nothing will stop you other than yourself. If this is something you want and God has called you to it, he will give you what you need, strength, tools, resources, money, whatever it is. He's going to give it to you. You will be the one thing that stops yourself. And how? It's by being lazy. It's by comparing yourself and slowing your consistency down because you feel like what you're doing is stupid. You feel like you look silly. You feel like nobody's trusting the process. You've got to be so delusional, my friend. You've got to be delusional to believe that whatever it is in front of you, it's all going to work out. And believe it to your core. I always say, like, believe that you have the success that you desperately want. Like, believe it so deep into your core that it already feels like you already have it, so you can act as if you already have it. And when I say that, I don't mean fake it till you make it, because that's crap advice. What I mean is that you start to embody the habits and the schedule and the abilities that you need to be able to achieve whatever it is. And I don't know what that is. That might be a fitness journey. That might be a business idea. That might be a new partnership. That might be whatever it is. But we all have those moments in life where we want to make a really hard decision, but we need validation. In fact, we could completely remove business out of it and say, how many of you have ever been in or are in a relationship that you feel like you're not supposed to be in, and you're not willing to make the choice or pull the plug? You know, maybe you've been dating and, you know, it was okay, but now you're just kind of together out of obligation because it's just like comfortable and whatever. But like, you know, God's calling you to something different. You know, God's calling you out of that because it's not who he made for you. And point blank period, I don't care what anybody says, you will know if that is your husband or your wife because you will not be able to live without them. Like, if it is a God-sent, God-given soulmate, I'm telling you, I mean, it made no sense when I met my husband. I remember calling my best friend, like, I really love him. Like, I'm going to marry him. We had been dating 2 weeks. And she was like, are you sure? Like, he's real skinny. Then she met him. She loved him. But the funny thing is, like, it didn't make sense to anybody else, but we were like head over heels. Now, having kids was God sent because that saved us. We were partying our butts off when we first met. And God was like, let me slow them down before they die or get arrested. Like, truly, we were being crazy. And I'm so thankful for that. But I could never, I could not live without my husband. Like, I know I didn't want to imagine my life without him. Okay. So if you're facing a relationship and it is not God-given and you're just kicking the can down the road and you're seeking validation for somebody to go, just do it, pull the plug. You're the only one that can do that. We seek validation not because we're vain and we want somebody to make us feel good. We oftentimes seek validation because we don't believe that we have what it takes to stay consistent to complete things, or we don't believe we have what it takes to make hard decisions and then face the consequences, because there's always going to be some kind of consequences. There's always going to be something you have to face on the other end of a big decision that you have to deal with. And it's tough and it's hard and it's scary, but I promise you, if there's a way that you can figure out how to find that validation from within and within your relationship with God, where he just goes, I got you, girl. And you go, thank you. Thanks, Dad. And you just do it. You just leap of faith. And that's what I had to do in 2017. I just had to dive in and hope it wasn't a mistake and that it was for the best. Another big decision for Casey and I both was, it was in 2019, but really the decision started or finished in 2020. And that was him getting out of the military. We were so convinced that we needed to stay in the military for 20 years. And it was not something we loved, but we were almost like brainwashed. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. We love our military. We are so grateful and proud that we were a part of it. I know Casey is. I know that it gave us an amazing life. But unfortunately, it is it's a government ran system and there are flaws. And unfortunately, my husband was, I don't want to say victim, but he fell victim to some of those flaws. And that was a lot of power hungry people that wouldn't give the time of day and let me backtrack here. He was in the medical field. So it was a lot of, female ran facilities that he had to schmooze his way through. And that's not something my husband will do. Like, he's going to do it the right way, the fair way. He's not going to, make someone feel good about themselves so that he can get a sign off. Like it, and that's not my story to tell. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but we realized in 2019 when we were at our second station, his second, duty station, like, oof, this won't work, like not long term. And then the reality is in the military, if you want to be able to grow and you want to be able to, level up and get new promotions and make money, you've got to deploy. And we just, we did 1 7-month stint without each other. And that was the hardest time of my life. That was in 2018. And so seeing how that didn't pay off to get him anywhere further down the road or anywhere better of a working situation, we just realized we didn't want to do it. And to be honest, we were really kind of brainwashed to think that like the military, you got it made. Like you get free insurance and your benefits and blah, blah, blah. And so we were terrified to make the choice. Well, then the pandemic hit. And we had actually just sold our house when the pandemic hit. And we were living in an apartment. I'll never forget that time. I remember him and I just talking and just trying to figure out, like, should he get out? Should he stay in? What does that look like? If he stayed in, we were like, let's do something drastic and go to Hawaii or Alaska or overseas to Guam. Like, let's do something different. And I guess what we come to realize is that God wasn't calling us to stay there any longer, but there was nobody that was willing to validate that decision other than him and I. And so we just had to trust that God was going to take care of us in the next season. And boy, did he. But it won't always look like that. it won't always look like that. In fact, if you were to ask my husband, he's still really 5 years, 6 years later after getting out of the military. He got out in May of 2020. He's still really figuring out what God's called him to. What's his purpose? Like what is he supposed to be doing? And he's an incredible father. He keeps our household literally together. And, he does a lot for the community, but he still feels like God hasn't pulled him to that purpose piece yet. And sometimes there's that waiting season. And again, if you would ask him, like, was it worth it? There may be some days he'll say no, but I think overall he knows that God still has something for him out there. And unfortunately, you don't get to determine how long a waiting season is, okay? So you may be in that waiting season. You may have been like, you know what? I didn't need validation. I made the hard choice. Like, I got this. And now you're like a sitting duck and you're like, crap, I made that choice. And I'm living with it and I'm going to go forward, but I'm realizing now I'm in a waiting season. Let me give you my best piece of advice if you're in your waiting season. Don't let up. This is the most important time for you to get consistent. And I'll speak on a business front because that's like, what I know. But you could apply this to any waiting season of your life. But consistency matters so much. And I will say this, like a little side note, if we're talking about like a relationship and maybe like, you're like, I don't think this is what God has for me. And so you step out of that relationship and you move forward and you're in a waiting period. That consistency is consistently working on your relationship with God, consistently working on yourself, consistently, getting in the best shape, getting in the best mindset, getting in the best headspace so that when God does send you somebody, you're ready and you're the best version of yourself, right? But when it comes to business, it's like, or business decisions or work decisions or career decisions, and you're in a waiting period where you're like, I so vividly knew God was calling me to make this change or to take that step or to take this risk. And I did it. And it wasn't like your story, Brandi. Like, I didn't get overnight success. I didn't get XYZ. And I'll tell you what, overnight success. It's really hard to tell people that because all they see is the successful person now, but they don't see all the tireless nights. They don't see all of the messages that went unread by people, all of the no's, all of the tears, all of the missed social events, all of the arguments my husband and I got in about me being on my phone. Like, they don't see all of that. It wasn't just like an uphill, rise to the top, if you will. And to be honest, I still have imposter syndrome where I feel like I'm not anything special. I will tell you, your consistency matters over anybody else's talent when it comes to winning. And like, if you can somehow, some way discipline yourself, and that is like really the reality, is like, you're not going to feel motivated every day. Most days I don't feel motivated. I would rather just lay in bed, but I stay disciplined. I know the plan. I know what I need to do. I do it every single day, regardless of how I feel, regardless of how tired I am, regardless of what other people are saying, regardless of what other people are doing. Let me tell you something. Stop watching what everybody else is doing and thinking you're doing something wrong because it doesn't look like them. You're not called to do what they're doing. And, unfortunately, and I came from a really heavy background of network marketing. I did network marketing for years and years and years. I love it. It has blessed our lives so much. I still have an incredible network marketing team, but I don't actively pursue growing it anymore. I now focus on just helping people build their own brand and business. And what I've come to realize is that in that industry, there is a lot of like FOMO. Like, you see somebody doing this and you feel like, crap, do they know something I don't know? Like, should I be going after this? Should I be going and joining this company? Should I be going and trying this? Should I be showing like this? Should I be posting like this? I can't tell you how many people screenshot my posts or use my videos and put them up as their own because I know they feel like, oh, she's successful, so this kind of post is the kind of post I should do. Oh, let me just take that post and post it on my page. That's going to do nothing for you. Guy, it's doing nothing for you because it's not you. Like, your consistency, being yourself, being authentic, showing up as you, ignoring the haters, ignoring the competition, ignoring what people around you are doing, and just go, private conversation, you and God, you and God, you and God. What am I supposed to do right now, God? Guide me, lead me, direct me, show me what I'm supposed to know and do. Allow your will to be done in my life. I think I'm like on a constant like I got a Bluetooth speakerphone in my ear with God like 24/7. I'm just like, God, did you see that? Did you hear that? Like I will just be walking in the grocery store. I will be, driving on and down the, not this, I'm not on the phone driving. Georgia's a no hand state. I mean, a hands-free state. Driving down the road, just talking to God. God, please help me with this. God, please give me the clarity to support my husband, to be able to help him achieve what you're calling him to. Make it abundantly clear if this is for me or not for me. God, please give me the strength and help me understand what am I supposed to learn in this waiting season. There's so many things that we're so distracted by that you're forgetting the most important thing. Consistency, conversations with God, your family, like, and not in that order, but it's like there should just be, I'm so distracted by like what's important that I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what company you joined or that you invited me to join that company. I don't care I know my purpose. I know what God is calling me to. And you would too if you stop letting so much noise into your mind. Get very consistent. What works and what doesn't work. Figure that out. Start there. Like for me, I'm like, you know what? People love when I go live and do my makeup and talk about my life. So I'm just going to do that like a lot. Okay, check. People love when I do vlogs and share a day in my life so they can watch my life in a 3-minute video. Check. People like when I follow up with them and I talk to them and I ask how they're doing and I tell them happy birthday and I ask how their grandchild is and I ask how. Check. I got to be personable. Like you're so wrapped up in what everybody else is doing. You don't realize how actual simple it is for you to be successful because you're so busy watching everybody else. You're not just doing like the very basic things that God is like, girl, just do these things and I'm going to bless you. You're so distracted. And the thing is, you'll get consistent for 1 week and then the next week you're not. And then you're consistent the next week, and then the next week you're not. And then you're consistent for a whole month, and you're on fire, and it's blazing, and then something happens in your family, and then you fall off again. Then you get consistent again, and then something's going on with your dog. Then you get consistent again, and you're watching, and so-and-so joined this company, so-and-so's doing this, and so you're distracted. Like, get it together. What are you doing? Do you care about your success, or do you care about the visualization of success from other people? Like, do you care about how it feels in your home with your family, with your husband on vacation? Like, do you care how that feels? Or do you care about the validation of others when it comes to doing something that's more socially acceptable because everybody else is doing it? Tell you what, you'll never catch me doing that. I don't care. I don't care what you're doing. And I don't care what you think about what I'm doing, and not in like a rude or like what's the word I'm looking for? Not in like a cocky kind of way, like I'm too good, but like, no, I'm too focused on figuring out. Listen, there's been very few times I audibly heard God speak to me. Actually, I think twice. Other than that, I'm just trying to figure out, what is he saying? What am I supposed to be doing? Now, I'll tell you what, if you're real confused, like if you're praying and you're like, is this a sign? Is God telling me this? Is this? Get in the Word, open your Bible, pray, ask him, what book do you want me to start with? Just open it up, read it. I'm telling you, the Word will start to make things in your life make sense. And this is coming from somebody who really struggles reading the Bible because I'm too literal when I read. I'm like, what? He did what? Like, I don't do well with like metaphors or reading between the lines or reading in the gray. I'm like, this is crazy. I know I can't really relate because I've never been blind and I've never been like, I struggle sometimes when I read the Bible being too literal. That's where prayer intercedes, where it's like, I'll read the Bible and then I just talk to God. Like, can you help me? Explain this to me. Help me. Where does this lead me? What lesson did you want me to learn from that? Like tell me what scripture you want me to read today. And it can't be explained. When you start to get close with Jesus, when you start to like get consistent with your prayer and consistent with like whatever it is he's calling you to do. I don't know what it is. I don't do what I'm doing. Just do what he's calling you to do. And that's another thing too. Some of you are like, I'm so consistent. I'm doing all the things. I'm like, that's the problem. You're doing all the things and you're not asking God, what is the one thing that's most important for me to get consistent on? And that's not going to happen overnight. He may make you go through a waiting period of time where he doesn't tell you and you just got to figure it out, and it sucks. But some of you are doing all the things and you're being consistent, but it's like literally you're doing all the wrong things, or you're doing too many things. You're not being productive at any one thing. Get good at one thing, then layer on from there. And here's the thing, girl. I don't know about you, but I'm just so uninterested in anything that God doesn't have for me. If it's not from him, I don't want it, because I know that the enemy is behind it. And I know that the enemy likes to sugarcoat things and put a little bow and a little cherry on top and make you think that you want what he has to offer you. I promise you, on the other side, down the road, at the pearly gates, I don't know when, you will regret it. Do not let the enemy distract you. And he is distracting you in every which way form he could possibly distract you. He is the cheeseburger and the twist cone with sprinkles on your diet. Don't do it. I think it's important to understand that your calling will cost you. It will cost you sleep. It will cost you money. It will cost you friendships that aren't meant for you. It will cost you experiences, but there's a difference. There are people in the world, and there have been times in my life too, that I felt like I was being called to something. And so I was, neglecting other parts of my life, thinking like, I'm being called to this is from God. And so I'm supposed to do this. And then I look back and I realized like, oof, nope, that wasn't actually my calling. I did indeed get distracted by other people's calling and other people's journey. And I allowed myself down this journey. And then I get to the end of the road. I'm like, ooh, well, this isn't fulfilling. And this didn't help my purpose. And this didn't help my family. And what was that for? And I'll tell you what, like it feels really crappy to do that. There are, however, things that it will cost you when God does clearly call you to do something very consistent or go after something. There will be a cost. And it's whether or not you're willing to pay the cost as you go or pay the ultimate cost at the end, staying exactly where you are or not having the success that you wanted or having to, whatever it is at the end of the road that you wanted to accomplish or wanted to achieve that you didn't, now you have to pay even more to accomplish that, right? And there are so many different scenarios that I could plug that into, but what I really hope you understand is like, yes, it takes sacrifice, but you shouldn't have to kill yourself to get there. And if it's God sent, if it's God given, if it's God's will, he is going to help you make sure that you don't drop the ball on your most precious, valuable, non-negotiables, those precious things like your family and your dynamic with your family and your relationships and your husband and your kids. Like he's not going to ask you to forsake them to go accomplish something on his behalf. Like he will give you the strength to be able to maintain what's most important that he sent to you and still accomplish this goal that you have. And if it feels forced, it probably is not for you. Just going to say that. Like, in fact, it's like the opposite if it's for you. I feel like the last 10 years, everything has just been this like rolling ball, just spinning down the hill. And I'm just full force chasing it. And I'm like, I know this is from God because it's happening too easily. It's yes, like there's hiccups and there's problems and there's issues, but like he's helping me find my way through it. Not always on the timing I hoped, but as soon as I'm considering stepping out or, leaving and closing the door, it's like he gives me a pivot. And here back I'm on the track. And I'm like, stay consistent with what he's calling you to do. Ignore what they are doing. They are not called to what you are called for. They are not called to accomplish what you're called to accomplish. They are called to something different and they are required to do something different. And let that be on them if they're going after something that they weren't called to do. That's not on you. But what is on you is your consistency and being willing to stick to it. I kind of go down this little bunny hole often. I say bunny hole and rabbit hole a lot. I realize. I go down this like mental spiral sometimes of like, what if I would have quit? What if what would I be doing if I didn't say yes? If I didn't quit my job, if I didn't grow the following, if I didn't start doing the videos, like what? I can tell you right now, without any doubt and with all certainty, that that's just would have never been the case. Like, I think when you ask yourself that, when you ask yourself, what if I would have quit? What if it wouldn't have worked out? But like, if you flip that script and you go, no, but it did all work out. It worked out in my favor because of his favor. And I think that we are so skeptical of what God sends us and the blessings we have in our life, or the things we are like, ooh, I think I'm called to, but I'm very skeptical because it sounds too good to be true, or like, I think I'm making a mistake, or you're distracted by other people. I think it's super important to understand like your skepticism in what he's capable of doing. It's not going to help your full mental health, your full mindset be able to accomplish something even bigger in the future. I think we so often believe like this is as good as it gets. I mean, I have scarcity mindset. I at all points in my life think this is as good as it's going to get and it's about to all fall apart. I think that all the time. In fact, I had to go to therapy to rewire my brain and my relationship with money and success because I thought at any point in time it could fall apart, so I wouldn't stop working. I just wouldn't stop. And I felt unproductive if I wasn't working. But reality was God was like, no, I'm calling you to rest, and you're not being obedient. This is why you're burnt out and exhausted. I promise you I'll take care of you if you just take the rest that I'm calling you to take. And he does. He did. It's so easy for you to be skeptical, especially if you've not found any success yet. But like, he is writing your story so intentionally and so perfectly. And I'm begging you to just get consistent with even if it's just one thing that feels right. You're like, I don't know about anything else, but I know he wants me to do this. Do it consistently. Do it every day. Do it without fail. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what everybody else is doing. If you feel like I'm supposed to be doing this, do it. Do it, because there will be a point in time that comes that it all makes sense, that he pulls it all together for his good and for his good only. You don't need more talent. You don't need more followers. You don't need more money. You desperately need to get very intentional with God, with your relationship with him, and very intentional with how you're spending the very little bit of time that you're given here on earth. Your future success is not built on one big breakthrough. Like, if I were to look at the last 10 years, there wasn't an aha moment where I was like, oh, like big breakthrough moment I got on Broadway. No, it was tiny, ordinary moments. And some of them I didn't even appreciate in the moment. Added up to what I now have. And I want to encourage you, first of all, to stop and celebrate those small victories and moments, because oftentimes we don't, especially if you're like me and you're like a workaholic and you're go, go, go. But also, please realize that what God has for you is worth the waiting season, and it's worth the pain of having to be consistent when you don't want to, and, you know, doing something different than everybody else is doing. It's not this big breakthrough. It is all these ordinary moments that will one day come together in the most gorgeous, beautiful, perfect picture that only God could put together, that only God could create. Thank you so much for listening today and watching. I hope this was helpful. I hope this helps you get clarity. I hope this helps you get into prayer. I hope this helps you open the Bible. I hope this helps you know that you have everything you need to be successful, to achieve what you want to achieve, and that God is going to take you through to the end. Thanks for watching, guys.